Hello everybody and welcome back. So we're going to continue off with this guided vector field that I'm making. So we have all these guiding lines now. So this is really good. I'm going to just do a resample on this one, and what's important here, when we do a resample node, I'm using the resample node to add the tangent. Now we have the tangent on the line, so now we can kind of get the direction on the lines. And we're going to use this. So this is the part that's going to represent the air guidance. Then we're going to do another part that's going to be the ground guidance. And this part is the vector field. And we're going to, actually here, we can, I'm going to do this to make sure I didn't miss anything. So you create a box to have your vector field size. And then you do this volume to make it a volume. And I'm going to make sure that we have scalar to be a vector. And the name going to be vel as velocity. And we're going to have this by size. And now it's kind of high resolution. I'm going to do 0.5. It's a little bit less resolution. And then I'm going to do vector field. And here we're going to do initial value to 1. So now we can visualize the volume, but I just want to visualize it as, I need to press visualize. And here you see the vectors. So this is the vectors that we have, and they are controlled here because we can add the initialize value, but we're going to control this in volume VOP. And then we're going to go into here. And in here, we're going to have the guidance. So we made these guidance lines. And we're going to add this to this volume here. So how it works. So the volume itself, it's like a voxel thing. So it's like a grid, 3D grid. And we're going to use the precision on each voxel. So because we have, if we use a near point, we're going to take this position. I hope I explain myself good enough, but this box here, it's like a lot of voxels in it like this. And in here, we're going to take each voxel and find the nearest point from this input. And we have it plugged in here, so that's the second input. And this is the volume itself. So here is the volume input, and here is the second input, and that's where the points, the guided points are. So if we plug that to the input, and if we take the position of the voxel, and then we find the near point on the second input, and we want to find the near point, and here we have the near point. And what we can do with that thing is, if we import point attribute, so here we can import something. So with this resample, we have we made a tangent. Actually, I'm going to change it to velocity vel. And in here, we can import point information. And we want to import the attribute velocity. And then we're going to take from that point, that's the closest point. And the last thing we need to do is to take the result and find export. Now we're exporting this to the velocity attribute. And it's not a float, it's a vector, it's a free float. So now if we go out and check here, we should be able to see stuff. And I'm not sure why we're not seeing anything. Something's not right. Okay, I'm gonna pause and find what's going on. And the reason why it doesn't work is because in here, maybe you noticed, we need to import. We have the point number, but we don't have the input. And we need a second input here. So now we're importing, we're reading the point from the second input. So because we need to read from this one. Now we start to see we have a more controlled velocity. This is great. But so what's happening is it's actually reading from the closest point. And it's kind of nice, but it's really good up here in the air. But we need to fix this a little bit more, because if the particles are above the ground, we first want it to go down to the ground and then start following the path, the flow. So what I'm gonna do is that we're just gonna make a little bit nice tweak here. So if we do a remesh here, and I'm gonna make it to 2 units. So this mesh here, if we remesh this one, it's too high dense, so let's do 0.5. So this is a nice mesh, and we can actually, I'm gonna clip away the bottom here. And do this in this direction, and just lower it a little bit. Because now we want to use these points instead. So the part that we made here, we're just going to take this part and drag it here. Plug this part in. So now we get the points here, and we're going to make the box bigger. I'm going to make it like this. Oh no. Oh my gosh. So I accidentally removed it. Need to make top bottom, and here this is going to be our scene view. Okay. So we need to make this box a little bit bigger here. Like this. And now we have selected all these points. Actually, I'm going to make a little bit bigger. We can do like this. Now we have a lot of points here. And then I'm going to make a little bit less of them. And then we have the start point is in the center down there somewhere. We don't really see it. Yeah, we can't see it, but it is there. So if we have the end here, you see end here, this point in the center. Now this part should work. So if we just copy this part and make the same thing here. Now we have these lines. And this is gonna represent the ground. Now I'm gonna plug it in here. So what's gonna happen now is that we're gonna search for the closest path on the ground in here. So I better do it and explain. So the first thing, if it's too far from the path, then we need to set the velocity to the nearest path. So we can have this as blue. And we can do bigger now. So this one going to be green, like in ground. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to find the closest position to the path. And if the path is too far away, we need to decide if it's going to go towards the path or follow the velocity. So I hope I'm kind of make myself clear. So what I'm doing here is that, and we also need to change this to be the third input, because now we have the third input. Let's see, where are we? Here. So in here, first we're gonna check the distance to the nearest path. And here we have the distance. So now we have the distance between the position and the nearest point. And we're going to make a remap here. And it's called fit range. And I'm going to do like this. If it is more than 2 units away, then it's going to choose in a lerp. It's called mix in Houdini. So what happens here is, if the position is more than 2 meters away, then we're going to take this input here. But if it's less, we're going to take this input here. So we're going to plug this one here. And then we also need to do this position here. So if we do like subtract, and we take this position, so now we get the direction from the position to the nearest path position, and we normalize it. Now we get the direction that goes towards the path. So if we now check here, you see first they go towards the closest path on the green, but it's when it's close enough, yeah, it will start to follow the velocity tangent instead. I felt it was a little bit tricky to explain. I really hope you understand it. Sorry for making it so tricky, but yeah, this is how it is. I might even just share this file online so you can see it yourself. So this is the Unity thing that they made. And if I just make sure we export it, let's see, it's going to be a VF, vector field volume. So I'm going to name it to 137, and it's going to be not a scalar, it's going to be a vector. And we're going to have the velocity attribute name. And now if we click export here, it's actually exporting it for us. And if we want better resolution, here we can do 0.25. So now it's even more resolution. So back in Houdini, Unity, the first thing we need to make sure, well, we need to add this one here. So inside the VFX setup, it's pretty easy. Here in the update particle, we just add a vector field force. And then we have the volume that we made and we place it here. So there is two things we need to make sure here. We need the data encoding to be signed. And now they should start following it. But the drag seems to be not strong enough. So if we do the intensity a little bit stronger, well, maybe not this strong, but 4. But if we look at the scene now, it doesn't really work. It doesn't look like it's working. And the reason is because this vector field is just a tiny box. And in Houdini, we made a box to 15 units and we offsetted it like -4. And we need to do the same here. So here we do the size is 15, 15, 15. And now you see stuff are happening here. And the position is -4. And also you see stuff it's start to look like it's working, but also you need to take the volume, and here the wrap mode is repeat. So you see what's going on. It's repeating with boxes next to it, so it's doing the same thing over and over. But we want to clamp it instead and apply. And now it starts to work like we want it. So now you see it's very strong. So it's not a collision, as I told you. It's just a guidance. So we need to tweak it so it's following it better. And we're going to add a linear drag. And I'm going to have this to 5. Now it's not that strong. And let's see if we do less drag maybe. So now you see it's starting to work and it's kind of avoiding this stuff. Because here you can see they're actually going above here sometimes. But this is how you do it. And here we have some, they got stuck or what's going on. So this is how you do it. And what we can do more is to add a little bit of turbulence. And we don't need to have 200. We can have 100 ghost. And that's good. And then we have this, let's see, I also in the update want to add some turbulence. So I don't want it to be too intense, but I want them to move a little bit more. So maybe like this. So now they're moving a little bit more, so that's nice. But you can see they are avoiding the rocks. They're going above a few of them, but that's nice. And of course you can continue tweaking this to work inside Houdini, but this is kind of in a nutshell how I did it. So here we have it. And the last part, I'm going to show you the last part. I'm going to show the veins that I made. So it's a pretty easy way to do it. So down here we have these ones, right? So if you want, you can actually just extrude them and do some, if you do this, let's see, sweep. And now you can kind of work with the lines here. So and then you can make some scale on it. So kind of extrude like this. Or the other way around. So they get smaller. And then you just do an ROP FBX output. And we do transform. do this 100 times big. So now we have it compensate for the scale difference. So if we save now and we just add this one to the scene, we have the veins too. So it was a lot of information in this tutorial. I think I maybe made a little bit too information. I hope you're fine with this, but I really hope you manage to follow along and do this stuff. And yeah, we can do a little bit less of ghost, maybe 20. So this is the final result. So thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you manage to see it all, and good luck with your vector fields.